All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series that I do where I try to tell you about those impossible to find, those hard to find comics, those rare ratios, those impossible books that you just don't normally see at your LCS and even at most shows. Just stuff that you might be able to find online, to be sure, if you want to pay a huge and hefty price tag, but just books you just don't come across every day. And let's just take a look at why. So, I'm having fun doing these. Hopefully you're enjoying these videos as well. If you are, please like, subscribe, hit that alert button so you don't miss any of the content that's dropping on the channel. And yeah, just hit 900 subscribers, so I got another giveaway going on. So make sure you head over to the channel to see the details on how you can enter to get a bunch of I got a couple of exclusives that I'm willing to give away. So you got to vote for which set you want as to be the prize. And yeah, just head over to my channel to get the details of how to enter. It's very, very simple. Now, that being said, I do have another pile of ghost books that I'd like to talk about this week. And if you want to know what they are, just hang on for a second, and I'll be right back after the break. All right, so let's see what books we have to talk about this week. I got another few that I found pretty interesting that I think you guys might find interesting as well. One of which I've got sitting right here next to me, and I think we'll just start off with that one since it's front and center on my desk here. So, first book we're going to talk about is this 1 in 25 incentive from 2017, the Jen Bartel America Chavez issue 8. I remember when this came out, I just bought this because I just thought it was a gorgeous looking cover, and it really is. If you have this thing in hand in person, the colors are it's spectacular. Just the way they come off. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous book. And yeah, there's a little story behind my copy here. I pre-screened it once for a 9.8, got declined, got it sent back. Then I decided to send it in. No pre-screen, just I'll take what I get, figuring it's going to be a 9.6, and then they sent it back a 9.8 anyway. Hey, I'm happy to have it. I mean, this is my copy anyway. I'm not looking to sell it. I'm just happy to have it because, like I said, this thing is beautiful. I love this cover. Now, that being said, is it a ghost? Well, let's dig in. Let's take a look. So the print run for issue 8 of her first series there was about 26,531. And since this is a 1 in 25, that would put the this version or this variant in that 1,061 range. Again, these are estimates, just doing broad strokes math based on Comicron numbers and the ratio. So that's what we're looking at, probably as a max amount, like a little over 1,000 copies of this potentially out there. The exact number, I don't know if there's any way to really know that for certain. Now, what's in the census for this thing? Not a whole lot. Definitely not a whole lot. There's 44 total in the census right now. A lot of 9.8s. 39 of those are 9.8s. And 4 9.6s, and then there looks to be one lone 8.5 all by itself there. Definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. So a lot of 9.8s on this book. So even though I didn't get it the first time, they decided to give it to me round 2. Hey, whatever. I'll take it. I will take it. Now, what do we got listed for sale right now? If you're looking to buy this book on eBay, what's this thing going to run you? Well, it's not going to be cheap. As you can see, those 9.8s, $900, $775 for a 9.8. $920 for a 9.8, all with best offers. And then there's one asking $1,900 for a 9.8. Definitely not cheap. Definitely not cheap. And I think there's a few others that are available, but not a lot of raws. There's not a lot of raws to be had. But I think when they are up there, they're in that $300 to $400 range if you are looking for a raw copy, which again, ain't cheap anymore. This book wasn't expensive when it first came out. This wasn't a heater right out of the gate. This just took a while. And I guess as we're getting, not rumors, I guess we know we're getting America Chavez in Doctor Strange 2. People are just starting to get excited, and they're looking for some of her books. So we'll see. And what sold recently? I think there's something like 15 sales thereabouts for this one. But as you can see, some of the raws have sold a best offer on $300, a best offer on $225, a 9.8 best offer on a $699 ask. Granted, I could have dug out the numbers for you, but just broad strokes, you get the idea. And then looks like on June 20th, there was also a buy it now for about $300. So as I said, it's not cheap for this this variant 1 in 25, but definitely a cool book, and one that I'm happy to have in my collection at least. So that would be our first book, which is going to take us to book 2, which is one I wanted to talk about previously, but kind of held it. Now we're going to do it now. Wonder Woman 38, that David Finch variant. Gorgeous book. I do not have this. I have never seen this in a store, at a show, in person. Not yet. We'll see. Maybe I'll run across one of these days. And that's how some of these books go. You just, like I said, you just don't see them. And why don't I see this book? Well, we look at it. This is a 1 in 100 incentive from January 2015 for Wonder Woman. 1 in 100. That's a tall order. A lot of stores don't order 100 copies. Some do, but even if they did, full print run on this thing was just under 40,000. So 39,669 copies, according to Comicron, when this came out. So again, basic guerrilla math will give you 397 copies potentially for this book if it's a 1 in 100. Definitely not a lot. Under 400, even at 400, this is a tough book. Definitely a tough book. And like I said, that white cover, and it's probably going to be tough to keep in good shape too if you have one. But who knows? Like I said, I haven't seen one in person, but maybe one of these days I will come across one. A lot of copies in the census, though. For that low of a number, it looks like everybody who had a copy sent theirs in to get graded, which makes a lot of sense. That usually happens with very popular variants. And a book like this was a popular variant for a while. It got forgotten about for a while, got hot again, forgotten about. It just goes through those cycles. I mean, 2015 was a long time ago now, so it's definitely gone through that roller coaster ride. And right now, I think it's kind of back in that, maybe on the upswing, but just coming off that lull of nobody paying attention to the Wonder Woman, 1 in 100 variant. But 239 copies in the census, 239 of that potential 397. That's a lot. It's a lot. So like I said, most of them graded. So finding a raw is definitely going to be tough. 139 98, 63 96s, and then the rest along the way. But a high percentage of the potential available copies are already slabbed by CGC. That's not counting what might be over at CBCS. That's a whole nother deal. Maybe we'll add that in one of these days. But for now, just sticking with CGC because it's the easiest to get for you numbers wise. But what else can we look at this book? Well, what's listed for sale? For right now, there are a few. And look, there is a raw, $425 for a raw. CGC 9.8 Signature Series, $1,500. A 9.6 is about $575. Another 9.6 is $600. So you price it out, $425 for a raw. Do you grab a 9.6? Hope to crack and crack press and resubmit just to chase that 9.8, or do you just want one of these? Either way, it's not going to be cheap. Just throwing it out there. So that's what's out there. What's sold. And as far as sales go, again, there's more than the 4 that I'm showing here. But not too many more, but a few more. 9.8 best offer on $1,150. So probably hitting that $1,000 mark. The next one down, a 9.8 sold for $900. A 9.8 Signature Series with 2 signatures only cost $799.99. And then a 9.8 before that, or actually no, that's after that. That's June, and was $700. So prices, it's like these are both June, and there's a July sale. That $1,150 was a July sale. Prices going up and down. It really depends on the market and what's out there and what somebody's willing to pay. But it's still not a cheap book. But kind of surprising to see it's on the level of that Bartell cover that I got sitting next to me. As far as prices go, when you look at it, like the 9.8s are right in that $700 range, and I think that's kind of what this one was. Interesting to be sure. But that was book 2. What do we got for book 3? Book 3 is another book that I wanted to cover earlier in the run, particularly after it came up when Marco and I did a Moon Knight show for the Totally Awesome Coolest Show Ever. I wanted to talk about the Bill Sienkiewicz #1 for this variant, this 1 in 75 variant. I wanted to talk about it because I like it. He didn't think this was an A tier or S tier book, but I did. So arguments ensue. Make sure you check out the Totally Awesome Coolest Show Ever on Wednesdays where Marco and I do our tier lists, among other things. We got a bunch of different segments we like to do now. But that said, let's look at this book. So, Bill S. 1 in 75. 1 in 75 incentive variant. March 2014 is when this came out. Print run on that Moon Knight book isn't small. It's not huge, but it's not small. 58,000, 22 copies, so 58,000 copies. But it's a number one, so that it does explain a higher than normal, bump usually for a book like this. But still, even with that number at a 1 in 75 variant, you're still only looking at about 774 potential copies. So still under 1,000 copies potentially out there. So what's in the census? Census, we got 114 copies, which is interesting that it's half of what the Wonder Woman book was, considering this book is twice as plentiful as a Wonder Woman book if our estimates were to hold. But 43 9/8s, 31 9/6s, 29 4s, and so on and so forth. 114 copies in the census is not a huge number, but it's not minuscule, but definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. What's listed for sale right now? I don't think it's hard to find one of these. We got a few. We got 3 right now, but they're all pretty pricey. I mean, $17.75 raw with 38 watchers. A lot of people know about this book. A lot of watchers. $21.99.99. That's marked down for a raw copy with 14 watchers. And then a 9/8 with a buy it now price of $5,995. Definitely not a cheap book. I'm not playing in this yard. I can't play this game with these. So I'm probably never gonna get a hold of this book in my collection. But one can dream, one can hope, but not at these prices. I'm priced out. So that's just a personal thing for me. I can't pay that much for this book. But let's see what sold. What actually sold recently for this? And for this, we only got 2 sales. Looks like a raw best offer on about $2,000, and then somebody bought one straight up on June 21st for $1,800. Like I said, not cheap. $2,000 thereabouts raw book. Definitely not cheap. Definitely not cheap. I didn't think this was going to get that high, but also remember at the time of these sales, late June, and in June, Moon Knight was getting his new series released. So I think there's a lot of FOMO and recent interest at the time of those sales. So it'd be interesting to see where prices go from here. But that being said, still hard to find, impossible to find book, at least for me, especially at a price that I can afford. So let's move on and see what's next. Something more recent for you guys. Yes, Something is Killing the Children, number 11. Yeah, we all know by now something is killing the children it's just a force. It is one of the things moving the market these days, definitely. From the number ones to all the different variants to the incentives to the store variants. There's a lot of interest around this title, potential show coming, all of that, and definitely around these variants because not all of them are easy to find. And in particular, this one isn't that easy to find. This was a 1 in 100 incentive from last October 2020. 1 in 100 incentive. And yes, this is kind of a callback and homage to Department of Truth number 1. So they kind of did a little wink and a nod to another image book. Or not an image book. This boom book to that book. So moving on with that. What's the print run on this? I got no idea. This is pandemic release, so I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Comic-Con is not producing or really giving us numbers for during the pandemic. It's just the numbers aren't being reported, especially now that we have multiple distributors and all that. I don't know if we're ever going to have real solid numbers like we used to going forward, or if we do, how it's going to be done. But right now, I can't tell you what the regular full print run of this number 11 was, or what the incentive would have been at 1 in 100. It's a mystery. Yeah, definitely a mystery. We can kind of gauge what we see in the census. In the census, we got 113 copies. Definitely not a small amount. 102 of them are 9/8s, only 9 9/6s, and a couple of randoms following that. But 113 is not a tiny number, but definitely doesn't seem plentiful either. So let's see what we got. What's available right now? Right now, I can only find 2 copies. A raw asking a bold $2,600 with 16 watchers, and then a 9/8 up for auction with plenty of time left. It's got close to a week left at $900 to start. So definitely, again, not a cheap book and not easy to find, however many there are, which we don't know. And what do we got for what sold? What can we look at as frame of reference of what actually sold? And for this, I only found 3 actual sales. All of them right around that same price point of about 900 bucks. Interesting enough. All 9/8, different, looks like different books, different sellers, auctions, all auctions, and they all ended at 910, 902, and 910 with multiple bids, throughout. So that looks to be about the price for this. 900 bucks seems to be the going rate for a 9/8 in this Something is Killing Children. Number 11, 1 in 100 incentive. And as I said, this cover is kind of a wink and a nod to Department of Truth, which also, right around the same time, did the similar thing. But again, like this is an image book doing that wink and a nod to Something is Killing the Children with their Department of Truth number 1 variant. I think that's kind of cool. I definitely think that's cool. I wish I would have these books to have my collection because I like it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to add them at these prices, nor could I find them. Also, a 1 in 100 incentive. And also, right there in the pandemic era, September 2020. So we're not going to have a print run for me to give you an idea. No idea. No idea on the 1 in 100 incentive either. All I can tell you is I do feel like there are a lot more of this book than the other. In part because I remember how many copies of Department of Truth number 1 were out. There were a lot of copies, a lot of different covers, out there for that, first number 1. It was an image number 1 that had a lot of heat behind it that it was coming. So I think it was ordered pretty strong. So 1 in 100 may not be as hard as that issue 11. 11 is a lot different than issue 1. Just putting that out there. Now, what's the census tell us with regards to that? Census is kind of backing me up a little bit on that with 250 copies of this one graded, whereas the Something is Killing the Children 11 was only about 113. So 206 9/8s here, 27 9/6s, so on and so forth. But 250 in the census for this is not a small number, again, but it's not huge. But I still think this is probably more plentiful. Now, if we look at what's listed for sale, there's a couple. There's a couple out there. 9/8, 2,500 bucks. Raw, 1,500 bucks. Another 9/8, 1,300 bucks, which really makes that last one seem like a bargain compared to the other two. But don't shop off of what's available all the time. You really got to price it out by knowing what actually sold a little bit. Like that definitely will tell you a little bit more than just checking what's out there. Granted, if that's what's out there and that's all you have available to you, you got to pay what you got to pay if you really need that book. But do you really need it? And if you do, know what you're paying for. Because as we look here, July 13th, raw auction, 480 bucks, 38 bids, a lot of action, but still only ended at 480 for the raw copy. And like I said, there's a 9.4, 406, 9.8, best offer on 960 bucks, and then another 9.8, just over close to 1,100 bucks on that. So again, not a cheap book, to be sure. Definitely not a cheap book, but just keep these kind of numbers in mind if you are actually shopping for these things right now, which I wouldn't really recommend. I don't think any of these are really at bargain prices to really go diving in. Not to say they won't go up higher. I'm just saying, even if they do double in price, I still am not a buyer because I just don't play in this yard. That's just a little bit outside of my price range of what I can do on a daily purchasing basis. This would actually have to be a save up grail for me. So just saying. But I like to throw this stuff out there. I like to look. I like to window shop. And I like to share what I find with other people to see what they think. So tell me what you guys think regarding these books, whether you're buyers or sellers at these prices and where you think they might go. And as well as what other books you might want to see that you think are impossible to find, you want to see me cover, because I've taken plenty of viewer suggestions already. And I got a list still ready to roll. Happy to add more if you got more to give me. But Department of Truth, number 1, the Something is Killing the Children homage. I kind of dig it. I like that, like I said, the back and forth between the two right there. But if we have to make a final call, what will my final call be on this? Well, push comes to shove right now, based on availability and how many copies have actually sold, and also just guessing of numbers, I'm probably going to put This America, number 8, that I have next to me, and that Department of Truth, number 1, in the hard to find category. Close, very close to Ghosts, but it can be had. And plenty of people have purchased them of late. So it's not impossible. It's just expensive. completely different. Expensive and impossible are two completely different things. But for the other three, just based on numbers alone and what's actually available and having actually moved over the last couple of months, I would put the Moon Knight, the Something is Killing the Children, and the Wonder Woman in that ghost category because just not as much as the other two. So while it was very close and I could have happily just said all five of these were ghosts, yeah, just kind of playing a little game. And for right now, if I'm making a call, those were the three ghosts that I had this week. So hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully you enjoy this series. Thanks again for stopping by. I do appreciate it, and I do appreciate all the comments and the feedback. So please let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys are buyers or sellers at these prices. Do you have these books? If you do, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see them. I love when people share these impossible to find books. I love seeing that they're actually out there and in the hands of collectors and and whatnot. I do really enjoy that. So please tag me. Let me know. Show it off. Don't be ashamed. Show off these books because they are not easy. Something to be proud of, to be sure. But that said, once again, hopefully you're enjoying the content. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button, tell a friend. Let's keep that sub count going up. Getting so close to 1,000. Just want to get there and meet that goal before summer is out, if possible. So help me out. Let's get those subs up. We are going to get there, and I got plenty of stuff to give away. So take part in the current giveaway, and let's get on to the next one. All right? Until next time.